Hello everyone, and today I'm going to be talking about the books I read in the month of July and what I plan to read in August. So the first book that I finished in July was The Weight of the Stars by Kay Ingram. I do not have a physical copy because I did not like that book very much, so I donated it to ARC, which is a thrift store. I really wanted to like it. It just had a lot of issues with the plot. I thought there was a lot of plot holes, and a lot of the main points didn't really make much sense. And I was not connected to the characters at all. I really didn't care. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff about it that I was kind of confused about. And I also just expected a lot of more romance. It's one of those books where, like, this is another thing that I had an issue with the plot. One of the main characters is, like, assigned to befriend the other character, and then her idea of befriending this other girl is by basically bullying her, which I thought made no sense and was just mean. Like, and then, I mean, this might be kind of a spoiler, so leave if you don't want to hear the spoiler for that book. Then they were romantically involved at the end, but it didn't happen to, like, the very end, and I was expecting to be more of a romance. And I saw, like, no chemistry between the two characters until that point, and I still don't really see any chemistry. So yeah, it was not a great book for me. My next book, I might be doing these out of order, but the next book I think I read was And I Burn the Ashes by Saba Tahir. This is my third time reading this book. The other two times I read it physically. This time I listened to the audiobook, which was really cool. I really liked the audiobook. It's the same two narrators that also narrated We Have the Flame. So I really like those two narrators. So yeah, it definitely added to the experience. It's definitely my least favorite book in the series. I still, thoroughly enjoyed it, but it's more like a 4.5, and instead of like a full 5 stars. Like the other two times I gave it a 5 stars, but this time it's more of a 4.5, just because I had a few issues with the plot, and I felt like we needed more world building. But yeah, still a great experience overall. And the next book I read, sorry if I'm out of frame for a second, was A Thief Among the Trees, which is also a part of the Ember in the Ashes series. This is a prequel to the first book, and is actually a graphic novel, as you can see by the pictures. This is the first graphic novel I've ever read, and I really loved it. It was a great experience. I expected it to take away some of the story, just because you don't have as many words, you just have the characters and the actions that they're saying. But I still loved it as much as a normal novel, so I'm definitely looking forward to getting into more graphic novels. And if you have any recommendations for someone who's new into the genre, then drop some recommendations below. But yeah, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, read it in 2 sittings. I hope that we get more of these books, more of these graphic novels in the series, because I feel like there's definitely more to expand on. So yeah, that's that. And the last book I read was a novella, and it was The Gentleman's Guide to Getting Lucky. This is a sequel, kind of, to The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, which I read, I think, in April. And I didn't really expect to like it, but I ended up liking it a lot. I thought it was really cute. And I thought it was a nice way to bridge the gap between the first and the second book. So yeah, I really like that. Fast read. Is only about 100 pages. So yeah, I really like that. And then that leads to my August TBR. So what I'm currently reading is The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy, which is the second book in the Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue series, or the Montague siblings series. And it follows Monty's sister, Felicity. I'm about 80%, 75% into the audiobook. I'm liking it. I definitely liked it more at the beginning. Like, the first half was definitely better than the part I'm on. I just feel like these books, like, they start off as, like, you know, normal contemporary historical fiction, and then they go in these, like, super, like, weird directions that are almost, like, magical. And it always just, like, catches me off guard, because, like, I always go in, like, expecting just, like, a normal historical fiction, and then it's, like, magic thrown in there. But I think it's interesting. I think I like it more than the first book. Yeah. August is actually on Bookstagram and the book community. It is Aspec August, which you're supposed to read books about characters that are on the asexual and aromantic spectrum. And The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy has the main character, Felicity, is, I believe, asexual and aromantic from what I've got so far. And from what I've read, it's, like, really well done. It's a really good representation of asexuality and aromanticism. So yeah. And then I chose one more book that has an asexual character, so I can read more of those books for August. And I think I'm going to read Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna Maguire, which has an ace main character. I want to say they're like biromantic or something along those lines, but don't quote me on that because I don't really know. But yeah, they're super really short books. They're only like 200 pages each. So I'm really excited to see if I like them. I've heard a lot of mixed opinions on if the length of the books, like, gives enough time for the plot to develop. But I'm really interested because I've never read a series that has such short books. So yeah, I hope I like the series. So now on to just other books that don't have asexual characters. The first one is The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. I've already read this book. I read it in June, actually, this year. And I loved it so much that I, like, immediately started rereading it. I've done some tabbing so far. I think I only have, like, 100 pages left, so I should finish it in, like, a few sittings once I'm done with my current read. And this is a 5 out of 5 stars again. Nothing has changed, just to love it. So yeah. the next book is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Maharan. This is also a reread because the sequel, Blood and Honey, comes out in September, and I haven't read this book since last October. So I'm excited to reread it and revisit the characters, and hopefully I'll like it as much as the first time. And I'm excited to see what happens in the sequel. And the last book that I'm going to do for my August TBR and for this video is A Torch Against the Night by Saba Tahir. This is the second book in Number in the Ashes series. I've already read this one twice as well. I want to slowly reread one book in the whole series until the fourth book, A Sky Beyond the Storm, comes out in December. I am so excited. Like, I cannot explain how excited and also nervous I am for the last book in my favorite series ever to come out. So I'm also doing this as a part of Penguin's Teen Ember Read Along. So if you would like to do this with me and some other people, there's a Facebook group, and they post templates on their Instagram stories for it, and it's super cool. Yeah, I really hope some of you decide to pick up the series or reread it like me. And that's all the books in this video. I hope you enjoyed this. And tell me what books you plan on reading in August and what your favorite book in July was. And like this video if you enjoyed this, and subscribe to my channel to see more content.